Beneath the surface of the Indian Ocean, a silent expansion of foreign naval power is mapping the seabed, plotting paths for submarines far from home. Following the domestic discourse surrounding the Great Nicobar Project, this is the image you see. The focus rests heavily on the island's pristine rainforest ecology, nesting sites for the leatherback turtle, and the protection of indigenous tribal lands. To understand the strategic urgency here, we must look past the beaches and toward the horizon. Great Nicobar sits at the edge of a global transit corridor that defines the movement of energy and capital in the Indo-Pacific. The physical scale of the project reflects those stakes. This is an 81,000 crore rupee development, sprawling across 166 square kilometers, incorporating a 16 million TEU transshipment port, a 450-megawatt power plant, and an international airfield. This map reveals Beijing's String of Pearls strategy, infrastructure hubs spanning Pakistan to Myanmar. India's counter is the Necklace of Diamonds, securing access points from Oman to Singapore. However, this geometry exposes a vulnerable gap in the Andaman Sea, immediately north of the Malacca Strait. Great Nicobar is the final geographic component required to address this vulnerability, acting as a sovereign anchor at the entry point to the Indian Ocean. The architecture of the String of Pearls relies on 99-year leases, like those in Hambantota or Colombo. These nodes are inherently fragile, as their military or logistical utility is dependent on the host nation's continued compliance. Great Nicobar operates on a different premise. Because it is sovereign Indian territory, the central government requires no foreign permission to build, deploy, or militarize these facilities. This map highlights the island's proximity to global shipping. It sits 150 kilometers from the mouth of the Malacca Strait, positioning sovereign Indian land at the edge of the world's most critical trade artery. The volume of trade passing through this 150-kilometer radius is substantial. Approximately 60% of China's total global trade navigates this specific geographic choke point. Backed by sovereign territory, India can permanently station maritime patrol assets here, specifically anti-submarine platforms like the P-8I Poseidon. These assets allow the Indian Navy to maintain persistent surveillance of foreign vessels and submarines entering the Indian Ocean without leaving their own airspace. In a period of kinetic conflict, this position grants India the ability to monitor and potentially interdict adversary supply lines at their narrowest geographic point. By combining proximity to Malacca with sovereign rights, the island provides a persistent platform for monitoring and interdiction that foreign-leased ports cannot match. That strategic presence provides a base for addressing a recurring deficit in India's maritime economy. India currently loses 75% of its transshipment cargo to foreign ports like Colombo and Singapore. This logistical gap costs the domestic economy over $200 million in annually diverted revenue. The Galathea Bay terminal is designed to resolve this through its 20-meter natural draft, which allows it to host the Mega Max container ships that currently bypass Indian ports. This diagram illustrates the shipping efficiency. The red line shows the detour to existing hubs. The green line shows Galathea Bay, located just 40 nautical miles off the main east-west international shipping route, offering a direct stop with minimal deviation. Capturing this trade also establishes a portfolio of competence. This chart tracks India's ability to win international government-to-government infrastructure contracts. Executing an 81,000 crore rupee hub in a remote environment demonstrates that Indian firms can handle mega infrastructure projects of the highest technical complexity. That proven track record enables Indian public sector undertakings to compete for global infrastructure contracts across Southeast Asia and Africa, providing an alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. The Galathea Bay terminal is designed to retain domestic shipping revenue while providing the industrial baseline required to compete for infrastructure contracts abroad. These strategic objectives require the diversion of approximately 130 square kilometers of forest land, creating a direct conflict with domestic environmental protections. In February 2026, the National Green Tribunal officially cleared the project to proceed. The tribunal found that the provided environmental safeguards were sufficient to offset the project's ecological costs. The ruling was based on the findings of a high-powered committee, which reviewed the project's compliance with the Island Coastal Regulation Zone notification. This zoning map shows the verified 166 square kilometer footprint. Ground truthing by the committee confirmed that the core development area does not overlap with CRZ-1A zones, which protect coral reefs and leatherback turtle nesting sites. The court mandated specific enforceable mitigations. This includes the translocation of scattered corals and a 97 square kilometer compensatory afforestation project in Harana to replace the diverted forest cover. Regarding indigenous rights, the project remains subject to the Shompen policy of 2015, which prohibits the displacement of tribal communities. The National Green Tribunal's decision set a significant legal precedent. The ruling explicitly identified the project's strategic, defense, and national security importance as a critical factor in the final clearance. This represents a shift in how the state balances its priorities. While environmental safeguards are strictly enforced, they are being integrated into a framework that accounts for the strategic requirements of national defense. While Beijing's strategy is built on commercial leases in foreign ports, Great Nicobar establishes a permanent, sovereign military and economic position for India. This facility is positioned to monitor the Malacca Strait, retain transshipment revenue, and expand the reach of the Indian infrastructure sector. The completion of the legal and environmental review process has codified the strategic necessity of this island within India's broader security architecture. The Necklace of Diamonds strategy now has a persistent, sovereign anchor at the mouth of the Andaman Sea. The Great Nicobar Project establishes a long-term position at the intersection of global trade, a sovereign facility built to outlast a temporary